Hey guys, welcome back to My Anime Heroes Customs. For this week's release, it's a double custom from Law of Ueki. Rinko and Marilyn are made at the same time because they both share similar build process. Hope you guys enjoy this. They'll be the 97th and 98th commission project. If you guys want to support me and this channel, check out my Patreon page, link in description box below. Let's do this! Let's start with the materials. I'm using Hengtoy's 112 female bodies and 3D printed head sculpts by my partner Shfiguarts. I've already used this body before for my Hinata custom, so I'm using it again for the Law of Ueki girls. And we have this 3D printed head sculpts by my partner Shfiguarts. These are Figma style head sculpts. And this is the reference photo that my client sent for Marilyn. Now let's take a look at Rinko's faceplates and the head. Again, my client wanted the Figma style faceplates for this, so this is the reference photo for the faces and the looks for Rinko. First thing to do was to spray a primer gray on the head sculpts and the faceplates. This is done so that we can see what needed to be cleaned up and we can see the details of the faces more clearly. Now, how the faceplates work, Shfiguarts added pegs at the back of the faces, and for Rinko, the hair on top will just attach or latch on to the face plates, just like that. And for Marilyn, it's a little bit more unique because she has a big hair at the back, so it has two pegs that the face plates will latch on, just like that. Very simple, not a lot of friction in there, but I do hope that we can work it out to the best of our ability. We can now move on to the next stage, which is to paint the skin tone. I'm using a Tamiya flat flesh spray can to spray a flesh tone on the face plates and then match it with the body later. And then I'll color the hair of Rinko a little bit reddish pink and yellow for Marilyn. Before coloring in Rinko's hair, I think I'm gonna add pegs or a moving joint on the ponytails that Rinko has. I'm not yet sure what to do about this. This is just an example. I might change this later, but I do want that her ponytail should be articulated and can move out of the way. Then for Marilyn, her hair is a big poofy yellow hair at the back of her head, so I'm using foil to shape this up. It's a very rough shape, so I'm just gonna use foil to get a basic big shape out of it. Then I covered it up with masking tape so that we can paint the foil. It will be easier to paint in the foil. I want this to be as light as I can, so that's why I didn't use any sculpting or putty, but I might use some hot glue to polish and to add more details to this hair. Let's start with Marilyn's clothing. I started to make her pants. I'm using this template on the right, and I am using a military green spandex cotton fabric so that it is stretchable and it will allow movement. So I sew up two pieces of the cloth and sew up the sides, and then the fit, bam, just like this. I made it a little bit longer, but I'm just gonna ruffle it up so that we can put in boots later. Then let's start making the top clothing. I'm using this template on the right, and I'm still using the same military green fabric. I cut two pieces of the fabric and I sew up the sides together, then flip it over, put the hands up and fit it to the body. It fits well right now, but I just need to adjust my measurements. I need to hem up the edges and so that we can move on to our next step. Fast forward, I cleaned up my edges, I finalized my measurements, and I added this black paint on the shins, and I added some black SHF feet extra that I have. I also made this black sleeveless top, just two pieces of black fabric, and I sewed up the edges together. This will form our black vest for Marilyn. Fast forward, I fitted the black vest up on the body, and then I added some pocket details with fabric. I added a gray zipper line for the vest, and I added a green collar. Moving forward, here are the painted faceplates. Of course, I matched the skin tone to the body, and I painted her hair yellow. I also painted the eye bases white so I can start up detailing the faces that my client requested for Marilyn. Here is the results of Marilyn's big poofy yellow hair. So I added hot glue to the back so that all of the edges and all of the cut lines are a little bit more smooth, and it has a better finish than of the masking tape. Of course, let's not forget about Wrinkle. Let's start with her clothing. I made some white pants for her. This is the template I used on the right, and of course a spandex cotton white fabric. I cut up 2 pieces, I sewed them up together, flip it, and then fit it to the body. This looks more like jazz pants for Wrinkle. I also cut up a strip of pale yellow fabric for her tube top. So this is just a very simple fabric. It's just a piece of rectangle that I'll just glue around her torso. Then making her vest top, this is the template on the right that I used, but I puffed up the sleeves when sewing it together, and I used a pinkish purplish fabric, and I cut up the center line so that when you flip it over, it's a vest. Now let's fit it over to the body. Bam! Just like that. This is a very rough look. I like the puffed sleeves on her, and we'll just adjust our final measurement and make it look nice. For Rinko's feet, she's wearing a very high wedge sandal. So I have this extra SHF Takarai Rihito feet, and I'm just gonna add some foam at the bottom. Let's take a look at the head sculpt for Wrinkle. I've already painted them this dark red paint. It came out really good, but I think I need to lighten the shade into a little bit more pinkish. So I've also added a peg at the back, so it will be inserted here. And her ponytail, I used pieces of leather strips to mimic her hair so that it has a little bit more flexibility and articulation to it. I added into a piece of forearm that we will wrap in white bandage. And then a closer look at the faceplates for Wrinkle. I think Hanchi Art gave me a very hard time with these faces because of the very tiny eyeglasses. But not to worry, I painted them as patiently as I can. I've matched the skin tone well to the body, and now we will just recreate the faces that the client sent. Fast forward to a full look of Wrinkle's whole body. So I've already finalized her clothing. I fixed up and cleaned up my edges. I already made the sandals a very big wedge sandals, and I think it looks great on her. I didn't expect it to work so well on this body, but I'm very happy that it came out really well. There's just one technique that I wanted to show you guys for a requested accessory for Rinko. So she has these barrel fingertips, and I couldn't find any more straw that's smaller for the SHF. So I rolled up pieces of paper, glued it up together, and rolled it on my toothpick. And then now we have a barrel. It's a cylindrical piece of paper that I can insert into the hands. And now I can paint them black and make them look like metal gun pieces. Wrinkle and Marilyn are done. Let's see full figures. Ta-da! Marilyn and Wrinkle from Law of Ueki Customs are done. Let's take a look at Marilyn first. Marilyn was a very straightforward and simple build. I think most of the difficulty in this project was in the interchangeable faceplates and the hair, because she has a very big yellow hair. So I made it as light as I can using foil, masking tape, and hot glue. For the interchangeable faceplates, I stuck on a layer of double adhesive tape at the back of the head so that the faceplates have a lot more friction and stickiness, so that we can stick it onto the back of the head. We can add a little bit of glue tack to it, but for now it's just a layer of double adhesive tape. So Very straightforward. I like how the faces came out. Very easy to swap. You can just take off the faceplates and put it on. I really like this angry Marilyn look. I think she came out really well, and I love how the outfit really matches the overall look for Marilyn. Up next, let's look at Rinko. I would say that Wrinkle is a bit more difficult than Marilyn. It's because of how things work on her body. Let's take a look at the clothing first. I really like how the clothing came out. That wedge sandal adds height to her so that she can be a little bit taller than Sano, our previous build in another Law of Ueki custom. Looking at the head sculpt and the face plates, I've added a ball joint on the back of the hair, and as you can see, the leather strips has a little bit more flexibility to it. Again, the face plates work with the two pegs that are at the back of the head. I added another layer of adhesive tape so that the face plates can stick on to the back more securely. This is a little bit more difficult because of her hair. It just frictions onto the face plates, so you have to sand it well so that paint doesn't rub off. Those things that make this build a little bit more difficult than Marilyn. But I think this interchangeable faceplates work really well in this build. Let's look at the other faces. This one is the angry look, which I really like. Marilyn didn't come with any accessory, just interchangeable hands, but for Rinko we have a few specific ones, like these barrel hands, barrel fingers that I showed you a while ago, and my client just requested right gloved hands for her power to turn beads into bombs, and a bead hand to hold some beads. So what are we waiting for? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with that, let's jump straight to action poses.